I want to introduce myself. My name is Elizabeth Aloni, and I'm with Schneps Media. Schneps Media is the largest organization of local media on Long Island. We publish Long Island Press, longislandpress.com. We publish 70 other newspapers, magazines, and websites throughout Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx, Westchester, and Long Island. So we are thrilled to be here today to co-host this wonderful platform, Long Island Technology CEO panel. And very happy to be sponsoring it along with LISTnet and having the illustrious Paul Trapani, from LISTnet, the president of LISTnet, to be moderating our conversation with the CEO. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it on over to Paul, and he can introduce our wonderful CEOs and begin this incredible conversation about management strategies and dealing with this COVID crisis.
Thank you, Elizabeth. For panelists, just put yourself on mute until I call on you. That way we won't get any of the background noise, please. So we have today with us some CEOs in LISTnet, and obviously every company is different, dealing with this crisis in different ways, and every company will have to adapt in one way or another to deal with it in the future. So first, a little bit about LISTnet. LISTnet is Long Island Software and Technology Network. We've been around for close to 25 years now. We exist as a chamber of commerce for the tech industry on Long Island. And our mission is to create a strong ecosystem here on Long Island. And that involves connecting the companies with each other, connecting them with the universities and other learning centers, connecting them with local government, and connecting them with each other. We, a few years ago, created a co-working and event space called the Digital Ballpark. That hosts about 24 companies, and they have space there. In the past, we did events there. Now we've moved to virtual events like this. And we still believe that there is a good chance for technology to help companies during this time and beyond. So I'm going to introduce our panelists and then give them each a chance to tell you a little bit more about themselves. Today with us, we have Robert Janowski, who's CEO and president of VSS, Jay Fund, who is the owner and founder of Hunter Business School, Ed Eisenstein, who is the CEO of United Network Associates, Walden Leverich is president and CEO of Tech Software, and Andrew Ruditser is the co-founder and lead technology coordinator of MaxBurst. So I'll start out with having each of you tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, and tell us how you've adapted or adjusted for the current crisis. Rob, would you like to go first?
Certainly I would. Thank you very much to everyone for having us. We very much appreciate it. VSS is a hybrid IT company at the intersection of digital transformation and foundational infrastructure solutions. What that means is we really help our customers find their way to the cloud from their on-premise applications. And in addition to that, we help them exercise their technology for the benefit of themselves, their employees, and their constituents. For us, really what that's meant is, stepping up to a lot of our healthcare customers and helping them scale their existing infrastructure to help folks not only work from home, but also to build out a lot of the environments they needed to do so for COVID-19.
Sorry, I was on mute there. How has VSS made some adaptations to our current situation?
The adaptations have really come through some initiatives that we had in the pipeline. For example, we're a Converge company, and we brought to market faster Converge VCT, which is virtual care technology. Really what that is secure telemedicine based on a Cisco platform that will help our clientele not only remote work from home, but also specifically telemedicine, and allow doctors to communicate with patients. Where we see that happening is where doctors and nurses are performing checkups on COVID-19 patients that have the symptoms have started to recede, and they're able to work with them and communicate them over an iPad. That's just one of many examples of where we're deploying that technology with our customers.
Wow, that's great. And I see the continuation of, or the merging of technology with healthcare being a valuable part of helping people through this. Jay Fund from Hunter Business School. Jay, Hunter teaches people both technology and healthcare. Want to tell us a little bit about Hunter?
Yeah, Hunter has 2 locations on the island, one in Levittown, one in Medford. And again, we are a school that was basically a brick and mortar school. We believe that the programs that we teach, students have to be there. And we thought that our student population wanted to be there. So we kept away from online education. Then about 6-7 weeks ago, our whole world was shaken up, and we decided that we have to re-evaluate our students and see if they would buy into being online. So we're sort of like going through stages of the Stone Age to the high-tech age in some ways. So we have started looking at, we brought all of our students, about 99% of them, online. So, but there's a problem with us is that after a certain amount of time, we have to bring the students into an environment where they can actually do things with their hands and minds and stuff like that. Like they need to do EKGs, they need to draw blood, and all that can be done sort of like a simulation with the beginning part, but afterwards they actually have to do it. And then we have to get our students out to the nursing homes, the hospitals, and stuff like that, which is going to be our next challenge. So we have a number of challenges that we've done already, but again, we have to wait for the nursing homes and the hospitals to open up for us, so our x-ray techs and our medical assistants and our ultrasound techs can actually get to that environment so they can graduate. The government is doing some changes and helping us to graduate students a little bit early, as people have learned through, like medical students have graduated maybe about 5 or 6 months earlier and are now being physicians. So the government is looking at that also, is mainly because students who are in school for majority of the time basically know those skills, and they're saying, let's give them an opportunity to get a job and to work in the environment that they want to get trained in. So we're in that process of transitioning, and we're also having to buy new equipment that we never expected that we would have to buy. So that's also, we have to buy anything, the basic stuff about control of plexiglass and students, and also going from 20 students into a classroom probably to 10, which will be a problem for us monetarily. And then the other component of it is the phone technology will change also, that will allow us to do more things remotely than we can do now.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be increased demand both for technology workers and healthcare workers. So glad to hear that you guys are adapting and going to be training more people that can do some of this stuff. Switch over to Andrew Ruditser from MaxBurst. Andrew, talk a little bit about MaxBurst and some of what you've done to adapt for these times.
Yeah, sure. Again, my name is Andrew Ruditser. MaxBurst is a website design and digital marketing agency. We started in 2007 here on Long Island. So today we're a team of nearly about 50 people across 3 countries. And for us right now, it's business as usual. We're actually very used to working with remote applications to enable our team to work effectively. And that's how we're basically working right now through our projects and with our clients. So we're using the same exact tools as we're used to using right now, except I guess the only difference is we're really relying on them much more than ever before. It's the only way we're able to collaborate right now.
So you already were used to working in this way with your team, yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Walden, tech software, you're in the medical field somewhat as well. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how this has affected you or how you have adapted.
Yeah, sure. We're a software as a service provider, and we provide solutions that touch into really research compliance, research oversight. So that could be medical research, it could be social behavioral educational research. So our customers are hospitals, federal government, universities, that sort of thing. And we were in the perhaps enviable position, well, I guess certainly enviable position, that the majority of our people already worked remote. The support team, which is the majority of our staff, we've made the decision long ago to hire where people were. It lets us hire the best people that we can. It lets us stay with them as they may move from place to place. So we were kind of deployed in a Zoom video, Slack, chat, Microsoft Teams, file sharing kind of world already. And there are some of us that were in the office that now are not. Well, I still am, but nobody else. But it's certainly, for the development team that was here, it's a little bit of a change, but for the support team, it's kind of fun for them because now all of their customers are working from home, and now our support team is not only the expert on the solution, but can kind of provide those day-to-day life hints now of what they've been doing for years, working from home, and the fuzzy bunny slipper commute from the bedroom to the kitchen to the office, and back to the kitchen for more coffee. They can kind of provide that feedback to their customers, our customers, but their customers, and help them on this very interesting journey right now that we're all going through.
Thank you. And Ed, if you're there, Ed? Ed Eisenstein, president of UNA. Tell us a little about your company and how you've adapted.
Yeah, United Network Associates. We're an IT managed service company, headquartered in Farmingdale. We've got about a dozen engineers. We've made a couple of interesting changes. Of course, we were already set up to work remotely. Back in February, March, it was an explosion of our clients getting set up remotely and getting all that done. But we've noticed that in some cases, there is no option but to go on site. How do you go on site and make it, stay protected and secure? We come fully, we have gloves on, we have masks on, we bring our own keyboards, our own mice. We've kind of created a whole environment where we are able to go on site and perform work and have all the tools to stay as secure as possible. But certainly, everyone has exercised and working remotely, and every one of my engineers is now a specialist at Teams and setting people up remotely with all kinds of VPNs.
Great, thank you. So one of the things I'm sure a lot of us are used to face-to-face interaction and managing people face-to-face. And obviously now face-to-face is through Zoom or through other video platforms. So I'm curious, since you all are managers, how it's affected your management strategy and how your workers are adapting. Why don't we start with Rob from VSS again?
So from an employee perspective, it's really been a model of everyone speaking to each other much more frequently than we had in the past. If we were in the office together and spending time together, we've continued that online. For those folks that we've always talked to, we're talking to more often. And really from a customer perspective, I would say that 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, every phone call, which you would expect to last 5 minutes, lasted 45 minutes. Everybody just really wanted to talk about their circumstances, what's going on. And that really led to a lot more deeper and more meaningful, relationships with customers. That's kind of transitioned now to being a 10-minute, 15-minute, max 20-minute conversation with those same customers. But the point I'm making is it really, this time frame and this pandemic has allowed us to deepen our relationships with our customers in ways that we didn't think of before.
Oh, that's great. Jay from Hunter, you had people in classrooms. Now your teachers are distributed and working remotely. So how has it been corralling and managing all that? And how have your teachers dealt with it?
Yeah, it's been a major transition. I don't think I've worked so hard in the last 7 weeks understanding how to run an operation remotely than before. Before, you know, I was running the school for like 20 something years, and I sort of like knew from the back of my hand how to do it and how to deal with people. But now, you know, you don't see the people as much, and you have all these meetings to try to micromanage in some ways. And then right now we're beginning to say, we don't really need to micromanage so much this week. We're going to cut down on the meetings and give people confidence that they can do it and feel good that they can do it. So it's been a major transition for the managers and also for the teachers, because the teachers are also learning this new skill that they've never had before. And you'd hear all the interesting stories about how the teachers are dealing with the students. And also the teachers don't understand that how they have to look appropriately because they're now in front of a camera, and how the students need to also. So recently we had to put out a code of conduct, basically saying, you have to look this way. Your background has to be this way. Your camera has to be on this way. You have to be able to communicate with us every so often. Otherwise we'll assume that you left us. So it's been a major transition for us.
Ah, great. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. You know, you unleash this technology, and you know, you have to go back and make sure that people are using it appropriately, representing you appropriately, because all your teachers represent Hunter. Come back to Andrew. You obviously were using some of this and had remote workers already. Has much changed in the way you're managing your workers, Andrew, or has there been any adaptations?
So the workers that we're used to working with remote in other countries, you know, they're all full time. So that's not really changed much as far as their process goes. But my New York City staff and Long Island staff, that's changed a lot. Obviously, we're not in the office anymore, so now we're relying on these tools much more. So one of the things I noticed early on was when we started to do this, we would have like daily Zoom calls or GoToMeeting. We use Slack mostly. So Slack was a really popular application for us to basically do these video calls. And it kind of turned into, in the beginning, it was a lot of times people just kind of sounding off on how they feel and, you know, either personal or about their work. And as time went by, a week and a half, we noticed that these calls, I mean, they would drag on really, really long time, and nobody wanted to be disrespectful to anyone. So we would just kind of let them talk. But it does waste a lot of time, and there's definitely much more efficient ways to do it. So now one of the things that we do is my project managers and my team leads will pre-record a message every night. It could be like a 2-minute, 5-minute, whatever message, basically just kind of setting the agenda, and they kind of tell basically their teams through Slack, and they post it in the channels. And everyone watches it in the morning, and it saves a lot of time. And we still get on Zoom calls, but now it's much more targeted. So because everyone has their own schedule throughout the day, and managing that schedule is something of a challenge too, because I can't really give people right now like set work hours. Everyone has their responsibilities at home, kids, homeschooling. So we're very sensitive to that. I have my own, obviously, timing issues. So we kind of let just people get their tasks done when they get them done, and we monitor it via the tools that we use, which I can get into more detail. If we use Slack, Asana for project management, and these tools are just, they've always been valuable to us, but now they're just, they're the only way we can run this agency at this point.
Great. No, that's I like the fact of adapting and doing a video message like that. That's a good idea.
It helps people like it.
Yeah, Walden, coming back to you, you've used some of these techniques and tools before as well. How have you changed, or how have employees changed for your workflow?
For between us and our employees, it is very much the same. For those kinds of interactions, we're used to doing that, but our employees, to their, to the people that they're supporting, have seen much of the change that, like Andrew's commenting on too, where it's the meetings that used to be a 1-hour meeting and you got 50 minutes of work done become a 1-hour meeting that you're getting 5 minutes of work done. And that has backed off, but we've also tried to be tried to do this tactfully, but very careful about trying to steer away from let's discuss everything that's going on for the first 45 minutes of this hour-long call. You know,
Right.
and we're all in the same situation. We're all in, you know, all have issues going on. We need to focus on what's going on in this call. And I sort of likened it to walking into a conference room in a physical conference room world. And if you're walking in 5 minutes late, you kind of sneak in, you walk behind the presenter a little bit, you might wave at the person on the other side of the table, but you sit down and you shut up and you let things keep going. You don't come in and have a conversation and, you know, sorry, my kids were doing this and I couldn't make the bus that. And I mean, we want that conversation, but at the same time, we've got to remember that these are our meetings, you know, and we've got to treat them like business meetings, even though they're now being done not in person. I think Andrew brought up Slack, and, you know, we use Slack extensively, and that's a great area for those bigger conversations, for all wishing we had a yard full of baby goats because they're so cute and adorable that they take our mind off of everything else. The number of goat pictures that literally go through our Slack every day is incredible. But you know, that's there, and the Zoom meetings can stay for actual business work. But you gotta go with the flow as well. And I think things are getting better as time goes on, certainly.
It's all new to us, and we're all learning new
Right.
ways of doing things, including this, where normally we'd have this session with a room full of people, and here we're doing it online, but we have, you know, 50 or so more people watching us now. Ed, coming back to you, I'm sure your company has used technology and communicated with workers like that. What have been some of the strategies for managing your workers now and dealing with your workers, and how are they dealing with it?
Yeah, certainly. We've been used to working remotely and through video conferences, but all of our clients now are. It was such an incredible boost forward for the hundreds of clients that we service that are all now used to this platform in a really quick way. I got to tell you, me and my team spent years trying to sell video collaboration to our clients, and bam, it all of a sudden just happened all by itself. That's interesting. But my team on the call yesterday, they can't wait to come back to the office and kind of be together. I'm allowing 1-2 people in the office if they need to, but certainly everybody wants to be together again. There's a level of, we've talked on Zoom long enough, let's get together again kind of concept. But no question, you know, no matter what sales process I use to try to convince these clients to use this kind of platforms, everyone's seeing it, and they all say to me, well, I should have done this 6 months ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. And you touched on something which I think is a good topic, which is what clients are looking for. And I think that's changed a little bit. So gonna direct this question to you guys as well. How have your client interactions changed? What are your clients coming to you and looking for to you? And what do you have to offer your clients that could help? And we'll start with Rob again.
You know, I'm going to focus on something that Ed just mentioned. For years, we've been touting the available technology, and the adoption rate has been fairly low. And what we're finding is that adoption rate is accelerating tremendously. So the folks that had it need to scale it. So we've been spending a lot of time with them on that. With that has come volume that, you know, we've got a finite amount of resources, and we've had to prioritize with healthcare, prioritize people behind that and help them deploy and implement. And we've been successful in doing that. You know, furthermore, I would say that beyond just collaboration and beyond, you know, whether you use Microsoft Teams or Cisco WebEx or Zoom, or there's a lot of other Slack, there's a lot of other things that can be utilized. It really comes down to, are people willing to use it? And the answer is they absolutely are. So before, what was difficult to justify is now assumed to be true, and we're moving forward in that direction. So, you know, we've seen portions of our business accelerate, you know, but equally so, you know, there are portions of our business that have come to a complete stop. You know, managed services is an example where there have been clients of ours who were close to signing a new contract, or renewal, and they have stopped. Their stock is dropped by 50%. They are taking a wait and see attitude. So, from a business perspective, I'm an optimist by nature, and we want to look at the bright sides and the things that are good. There's also a pragmatic reality that businesses come to a standstill, specifically in the greater New York metro area, and getting that restarted is going to be challenging and difficult. I'm glad to see, others like myself that are allowing 1 or 2 employees into an office when they need to be there. But, for the most part, we've been adhering to the shelter at home and requiring everybody to work from home. So, the long and the short is there have been some highlights, there have been some low parts. There's definitely changes we're going to be making going forward, and really time will tell. And you just have to be flexible and agile in adjusting to what happens to us in our environment.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it is going to be an adjustment for all of us, and we'll have to work with clients. Jay, coming back to you, I think you have 2 sets of clients. You have the students that you teach, and then you have the people that are looking to hire them. So what's the response been on both sides of that for you?
Let me just back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if you take a look at who's on this panel, we all seem to be males, right? And I have 80% of my staff are females, and probably 80% of my student body is also females. So sometimes when you guys talked about the goats and talking about the nice things and stuff like that, I think it's important. It's sometimes when you address certain types of people and with people's different types of needs, how to work around that. Giving them, again, understanding that you have a certain amount of time for the meeting, but if you don't understand or pay attention to what their needs are also, and that you're paying attention to that, I think that's all part of doing the business also. So I think we need to pay attention to that also more when we're doing this online Zooms type of stuff. The other part that has been important for us is that we have let's say we have 1,000 students, and over the months, those 1,000 students are graduating. So, and we don't have the number of students that are graduating that are going to be starting. So we had to figure out in our heads how we're going to do that. We had to retrain our admissions people, who are basically our salespeople. How are they going to bring in these new students, give them confidence that they can do it online, and have the salespeople also have the confidence, feeling of competence that we can do this. We know that we have a track record that we can train in a particular way, but now we're training with online, and then eventually we're going to get to a point where we'll be back to our old way. So again, everybody is trying to learn to adjust and also to buy into that, which is the biggest problem. That we're also, part of understanding how to buy into that. We've gone to other people and say, how do you do this online stuff? We know that online schools are a huge profit centers, but we never liked them because of the retention rate and the graduation rates. Now we're saying, okay, we have to do a hybrid of combination between online and brick and mortar, because we think that's the best way to teach. So we're trying to figure out how to do the balance, and how the federal government and the state government and an accrediting agency will give us that balance to work in.
I mean, we work with you through LISTnet, and I think one of the key things that I've seen has been the connection you've made with local companies and finding out, what they need on the tech side, and helping place some of your workers there. And companies I know that have hired Hunter students have been very, very happy with them, and I think that's one of the things that's made a difference is you are in the community, you are involved, and you're, being part of that tech ecosystem that we're trying to build.
Yeah, and listening to you guys is also opening my mind too about how we need to readjust stuff. Like in the medical area, there's telemed now has become very, very important. In the hospitals also as an outpatient, communication, is becoming very, very much a part of what we're doing, and how we should be doing it a lot better than what we're doing it now. and understanding, the difference between, we use Google Classroom a lot with Google Meets, and we're also trying to incorporate Zoom into that. But they all have their issues and stuff like that. Nothing's great. And so again, it's awakening, and I like listening to what you people are saying about where your technology is, and also, bringing the business back up again. How are you dealing with my landlords? I got two landlords, and one landlord does one way, one does the other way. And the book vendors do one way, advertisers do the other way. It's a juggle. So.
Yeah, it's challenging times for all of us. Andrew, I'll come to you because obviously marketing, I'm sure, is changing as we speak. I think a mistake that some people might make is to just drop marketing completely during these times. But talk about what your customers are looking for and what you recommend as far as how companies can market during this time, or what they should be doing with their websites during this time.
I mean, we always kind of talk to our clients about, the importance of marketing and to continue it. But, the reality is that a lot of our clients, and this is across all businesses, just can't afford to spend the extra dollars right now on marketing. So what we're doing with them is we're still kind of trying to keep up to date with their marketing strategies, because I know hopefully soon it's all going to ramp up. But I'm seeing it across the board right now, with some deductions in like Google ad spend and other digital marketing, just because the dollars just aren't there right now. But I'm very optimistic that everything is going to come back, and people are going to, want to ramp up really quick, and they're going to feel like they lost a lot of time. So, we're constantly communicating with our clients. One of the things that we've seen differently that we communicate with our clients now is, I've heard another panelist mention this, is kind of dealing a little bit more on a personal level with a lot of customers more than ever before, because usually now when you speak to somebody, they kind of want to sound off on some stuff about what's going on, and then you discuss business with them. So I've actually become a lot closer with a lot of my customers. And I've also noticed that a lot of people want to make sure that their vendors are, obviously financially doing well still through this time and staying healthy, because they rely on us as an agency. So I have a lot of conversations with these customers as well to make, they kind of test a little bit the temperature, I guess is the best way to say it, to make sure that, we're still there, we're doing well, we're going to be with them when this is through. So that's the type of communication I'm having a lot right now with, with my customers. As far as website help, I'm seeing a lot big increase in web maintenance. A lot of people are making a lot of adjustments on their sites, like messages, different sections on their website that talks about COVID-19 and how their response is. So we've had a lot of maintenance. We've had a big uptick in maintenance hours for a lot of customers, and we've helped a lot of customers too, because just frankly, a lot of customers just weren't even able to, pay any invoices for some maintenance. So we've just helped some of them as well, just to kind of get the message on their website, so that their users are aware of what's going on.
Great.
So we're trying to help that.
Great. And myself, I'm going to come to Walden, and then we're going to actually ask if anyone has any questions for the panelists. If you guys have questions, you can type them for the chat, and then we'll select some and ask them. So Walden, I know your clients, some of them are doing research on COVID-19. Yep. So how have you dealt with it? What have you been doing for clients and whatnot?
Well, we've got a funny mix, because we've got those clients that have escalated their needs, escalated their desires to change their processes. It's got to be careful, because it's a regulated industry. I mean, it's medical research in many cases, well, certainly all of the COVID cases. So a lot of regulations that they have to make sure they follow, but at the same time, being able to come back and say, hey, we need to make some quick changes, and we're lucky that our platform lets them make those changes, although whether or not they remember how to make them from when we taught them 4 years ago is a different story. But we've got that group that's trying to really quickly iterate and really quickly put in new procedures. And then we've got the other group that's kind of the universities and some of the hospitals that aren't doing COVID-related research that are taking that step back. And I think seeing the same thing everybody else is seeing in those groups that are saying, hey, we need to pull back and we need to be careful. So we've got that mixed bag. but we're actually bringing some new offerings out to the table as well, as people are dealing with this remote work, to say, hey, you already use us for this kind of process in this scenario. We're a trusted vendor. We're a certified vendor. You've been through all the security reviews. Just start using us for this, this, and this too, you know, and we're trying to do that in a way that removes barriers for people to get out, not only for COVID stuff, because it's a good thing to do, but from a business point of view, it's also a good thing to go out and say, sure, we're already in your shop. We're already on the approved vendor list. Just use us more, you know, and it's a nice opportunity to grow some business there. I would much rather there was not a pandemic, don't get me wrong, but if there is one, you know, I don't want to say one takes advantage of it, but any good business person has to look at the situations and what's going on and say, what can we bring to the table that helps our customers? And, oh, by the way, happens to grow business too. You know, and I don't think those are mutually exclusive things. If we're doing good for our customers, that's good.
I think that's why a lot of us are in business, because we are here to help people, and this is a time when people need our help. So we have a question from our audience, and the question is, after the pandemic, how much of this remote work will stay? Rob, you want to address that a little bit?
I'll address it by saying that a lot of employers were reluctant for remote workers, with the exception of Walden and a lot of other folks that we both know. And I'd have to say that our minds have shifted, our thinking has shifted. I think a lot of I think New York City is going to be significantly impacted. There was a really good article in the Wall Street Journal today about, the impact on remote workers are going to be the distance of their commute. Those who are close are going to say they want to go to the office. Those who are the furthest away are going to say they want to work from home. I think that we're going to be open-minded, and a lot more folks will be working from home, not only now, but into the future. So I see it as a trend that will continue and will ultimately be a positive impact for all of us.
Right. I would agree with some of your thoughts there. Ed, you want to address that a little bit as well?
I think that remote work is here to stay. I've noticed in the clients that have not adopted before are now very comfortable with it. I would say 80% of my questions and getting used to mode has been overcome. I believe that remote work is going to be a permanent part of our future. It'll back off maybe 10, 20%. It'll be a staple going forward. I don't see people closing those ports, removing those licenses, or all the remote effort that was made to get people there will remain in place.
Okay, and Andrew, you want to say something about that?
I agree with everyone. Basically, remote work is here to stay. I mean, we've all been forced into the situation, and I think people are getting very comfortable, and people are starting to see that workers are just as productive working from home and having that freedom. I just generally feel that people won't really be comfortable working in very larger offices with a lot of people. I think the days of packing into a conference room for a meeting, hopefully it'll come back one day, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. So yeah, remote work is definitely here to stay. I mean, like us personally, I feel we're going to rethink even some of our offices. I'm definitely going to have a location, just not quite sure if we need very large offices anymore. And I'm probably going to give some of my employees the option of maybe coming in a couple of times a week instead of every day, because I see it's working very well for everyone.
Thank you. And Walden, you have a little bit of a dissenting opinion?
I do, not to sound like I'll write for the dissent in the Supreme Court here. I think, sure, some will stay, but I think especially in New York, and because I've talked to people across the country about it, but especially if you look at New York, we have a lot of experience, granted 20 years ago, and technology has changed, but we have a lot of experience with big disasters that make us all say we will never pack a bunch of people into one place again. And then that held for about 6 months post 9/11, and then we started to pack a lot of people into a big place again. So I don't know, yes, the technology is different, But I think if we look back at what we've done in the past, I don't know that it's going to stay. I think we're going to find that there's a natural gravity to put people together. Hopefully companies reach out and allow you to work home from Friday and, hang out and go, take off for your long weekend ski trip and do a little work on Friday from Vermont or something. But I think we're going to find that we do pull people back together again. Let's say 90% of what we did before. There'll be some impact, but I think we're going to back off of it too.
Interesting. We'll see how this all turns out. Jay, you mentioned it briefly, but what do you think? I mean, I know do you see your teachers being back in classrooms, having a hybrid model?
I would like it to happen to some extent, but what we've been experiencing with our staff is that the technology they don't have. And, some of my instructors are relatively well paid. They may have a family of 2 or 4 children, and they really don't have the instruments to communicate properly. And not only do they have the instruments, the computers or whatever it is that we're going to use, the iPads, but they also don't have the Wi-Fi around their homes. It's intermittent, it doesn't work well, there are all these other issues. And then when you go to the actual student, it's even more profound that they don't have these. So, as you saw in the public schools, schools like ours also had to give these instruments or computers or iPads to the students and say, you got to communicate with us with this. And then the big question is, in order to come to school, you have to understand how to do this properly. So there's a number of steps we have to get to. But, the technology on the outside has to be more available for people in order to get to the point where we can really be at home a lot more than we are now.
You bring up some good points, which is, that it's not necessarily that easy for people to work from home or all that, depending on their situation. I mean, we also run the Digital Ballpark, which is a co-working and event space. We have 24 companies. Some of the people in my space are actually employed full-time somewhere. They choose to rent an office just to come in and have an environment they can work and not have kids around and not have the other distractions of home. So I think we're going to see an evolution of that kind of thing. We have another question from the panel, from the audience. What opportunities and challenges do you guys see for small businesses for consultants to help small businesses get started? So what can people that want to help other businesses that are looking to help out or do that, what do you think might be something they might try? Anybody want to give that an answer? Ed, go ahead.
So a lot of my clients, colleagues are offering some kind of discounted service or philanthropy kind of service until COVID is over. So that's how you can help. Either allow long lead times to pay people paying their bills, or give a reduction, or allow the bill to be paid 90 days later. But some level of relaxing your standard processes of bill paying and offering the same service.
Anyone else have any insight on that?
I would say, depending on how you take that question, I took it a little more on the, what would a consultant do to help somebody restart? And I think it's an opportunity for, like Ed and your company and the networking side of the world and Rob, but to go out into the SMBs especially and say, guys, don't reinvent the wheel. Let us come in and give you a way of doing this that, we'll deploy Zoom to 100 different companies and we're just going to do it the same way. Cookie cutter, cookie cutter, cookie cutter. Stop trying to reinvent your own wheel. Let us give you some guidance. And for the SMBs, take that guidance. You're a whatever it is company that you are. You don't need to do something special. Do it the same way everybody else is doing it, so that you can stand it up and ramp it out and roll it out fast, and not try and do something special.
Okay, we have a question for Jay, and I'm not sure, Jay, if this is something you can directly answer, but someone's asking, have school districts discussed how to improve communications with low-income special ed or homeless children? And maybe, I don't know if that's affected you, if you have students of various economic levels as well. want to talk a little bit about that.
You broke up a little bit. Can you just say it again?
Sure. Have school districts discussed how to improve communications with low-income special ed or homeless children? I know you're not directly involved with school districts, but you have students of various economic levels, I'm sure. How have you dealt with some of those issues?
Yeah, that's a major problem when you're trying to bring these people, educate them, give them some experience and stuff like that, and they don't have the ability of technology or Wi-Fi. School districts do give people, laptops and iPads and stuff like that, but they're basically dead if they can't communicate with the outside world. And in this environment, you can't go to somebody's house and say, can I borrow your Wi-Fi? You can't go to the library anymore to borrow the Wi-Fi. Some people are going into their cars and driving to a place where there's a Wi-Fi that's available for them. We have a number of students that are doing that. They basically live in an environment where they're like maybe 4 or 5 people in a 2-bedroom home, and they have to get out and they go to their car to do whatever they need to do. And it's a very difficult and challenging environment. If you're in a group home or you're in a shelter, it's become more and more difficult because you know what, you're in shelter in a group home, the smaller the instrument is, the easier it is to pocket and walk away with it, and where did it go? So,
Right. And I think these are issues that'll be with us from an education perspective, from a work perspective. We're all kind of lucky in the tech industry that we work in an industry where we can work from home. Some people have lost their source of income now and can't as easily just adapt and work from home the way a lot of us can, the way our companies can. I want to thank everyone for participating today, all the panelists. Turn it back over to Elizabeth to close us out.
Yes, thank you so much, Paul, and to all of our panelists. This was a really informative conversation, and I want everyone to know they can go to LISTnet.org to be able to see the names and bios of all of our panelists. And please keep checking out longislandpress.com. We have lots of business news going on there online, and we are still printing the print publication as well. Thank you so much all for your time, the attendees. I'm so glad you were here and hope that it was very valuable for you. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.